You don't need magic, you need meaning. Because when a woman speaks with honesty, with timing, with strength, she doesn't just get remembered, she gets felt. Let that settle in your chest for a moment, my friends. Because somewhere along the way, you were fed a lie that to catch a man's attention, you had to play a role, be softer, be sexier, be everything except your true self. They handed you scripts, tricks, tips, games, told you to smile a little more, reply a little quicker, act a little cooler, and still, here you are, wondering why it feels like you're invisible. Have you noticed how some women talk a lot, yet nothing sticks? And then there's another woman, she walks in, says one sentence, and suddenly the whole room feels different. That's not magic. That's mastery. That's someone who understands the power behind her words. And today, that's exactly what we're unlocking. Now, before we go deeper, hit that like button and subscribe. But do it for yourself, not for me. Because if you've ever felt like you were doing everything right, yet still being overlooked, what we're about to uncover might be the shift you've needed. Picture this. You're standing by a still, quiet lake. The surface is like glass. You toss in a small pebble, and even that tiny ripple moves across the entire surface. That's what the right words do. Not loud, not desperate, just full of intention. A whisper that stays even after you've walked away. But most women are out here tossing boulders, shouting into the silence, trying too hard, saying too much, hoping something sticks. But it doesn't, because attention doesn't come from being loud, it comes from energy. Here's the truth. The unconscious mind, the place where attraction truly lives, doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion, symbols, energy. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And that same idea applies to love. You don't make a man think about you by trying to convince him. You do it by stirring something inside him, something he can't name. See, the problem isn't that you're not putting in effort. The problem is you've been using the wrong tools. You ask, "How was your day?" and he says, "Fine." You ask, "What do you do?" and he gives a plain answer. And then what? Nothing connects. There's no spark, no depth. Why? Because your words didn't reach deeper than the surface. And it's not your fault. You were taught to perform, not to truly connect. But that changes now. Because once you learn how to speak in a way that hits the subconscious, once you understand when to say something, not just what to say, once you step into a room with calm certainty instead of nervous energy, that's when he truly feels you. That's when you become unforgettable. You don't need 100 clever lines. You just need a few powerful words, spoken with presence, with precision, with that steady kind of grace that makes a man pause, tilt his head slightly and think, "Wait, who is she?" Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you isn't manipulation. It's magnetism. This isn't about playing games. It's about speaking in a way that leaves a mark. If you learn to talk with meaning, not noise, you'll stop chasing love and start attracting it. Let's start here. The mind doesn't remember words. It remembers energy. It's not logic that stays in someone's mind. It's impact. Write that on your mirror, because that's where everything starts. Most women think they need to impress a man with the perfect message, the perfect version of themselves, polished, poised, playing a part. But here's the real truth. He doesn't remember your words. He remembers how you made him feel. Let that land. Because when you speak to a man's unconscious mind, you're not just starting a conversation. You're shifting something emotional within him. Picture it like this. You walk into a dark room filled with thousands of balloons. Each balloon has words written on them, Hi. How's your day? What do you do? And floating in that room, weightless, is your voice, saying what he's already heard 100 times before. What happens? You blend into the background. You blend into Now imagine something different. You walk into that same room, and instead of letting go of another balloon, you light a candle. Just one flame. It changes the whole room. It draws the eye. It brings warmth. It changes the mood. That's what the right energy does. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. But so many of you are scared to speak from a deeper place. You think it's too intense. You worry he won't understand, that he'll pull away. So you fall back on safe words. Hey, what's up? Just checking in. Harmless? Sure. Memorable? Never. You were never meant to be background noise, but you've been taught to blend in, to keep the peace, to be polite. But men don't remember polite, they remember presence. Because when your words come from a place of truth, when they paint a picture, suggest a story, carry emotion, you stop being the girl from the app or the woman he met once. You become a feeling he can't explain and doesn't want to forget. So from this moment on, no more empty phrases, no more small talk on autopilot. Your words matter, your words hold weight, and we're just getting started. Let's talk about 3 words that shift everything. You and me. It's not a pickup line, it's a mirror, it's a spark, it's a moment. Say it with me, you and me. It may sound too simple to change anything, but that's exactly why it works. Because sometimes the most powerful shift doesn't come from shouting. It comes from a soft phrase that lands in the right place. When you say you and me, you're not asking for something, you're painting a scene, a little mental image. You're using the language of suggestion, not pressure, not expectations, just possibility. And guess what? The male brain, especially his unconscious, is wired to respond to images, not instructions. Emotion, not evaluation. Denzel Washington once said, "It's not about what you say, it's about what it evokes." And when a woman calmly says something like, "You and me," it's not just words. It's something he can see. Imagine this. He's sitting across from you. The vibe is light. Instead of saying, "I really like talking to you," you lean in, smile, and say, "You and me, we could have dangerously good conversations." Boom. You didn't flatter him, you included him. You brought him into a story that didn't exist until you spoke it. Or say, "You and me would win every argument as long as we're on the same team." It's not a pitch. It's a scene, a flash of chemistry, a dose of playfulness, a bit of curiosity. And maybe your mind is whispering, what if I sound too bold? What if he doesn't respond? Listen to me. You're not saying it for a reaction. You're saying it to leave an impression. And that impression, it stays. Because this isn't about control. It's about confidence. The kind that doesn't ask to be chosen, but knows it already is. Next time you feel that connection with someone, don't go quiet. Don't play it too safe. Drop the spark. Drop the mirror. Say it as if it's nothing and everything. You and me. It's not a line, it's an opening. And now we move to timing. Because like a spark, if you throw it too early, it fizzles. Too often, it loses power. Stay with me. It's about to go even deeper. This isn't about tactics, it's about truth. You and me isn't clever, it's honest. And when you say it with belief, it tells the world, I'm not waiting to be picked, I am the choice. Carl Jung said, the unconscious is drawn to clarity, to symbols. So when you speak clearly, without hesitation, you become the symbol of certainty, in a world full of doubts. Let's be real. When someone says, "Do you want to hang out sometime?" That's not confidence. That's asking for permission. Like knocking on a door you already have the key to. Now flip it. You and me should try that place downtown. That's not a request. That's presence. That's leadership. That's you owning your space and trusting that if he feels it, he'll follow. So ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as the woman who hesitated, or the one who made him feel something with just one sentence? Because here's the thing, energy never lies. You can say all the right things, but if you say them like you're hoping they land, they won't. But if you say them like you already know your worth, that's when his attention sharpens. That's when he turns toward you, not just out of interest, but out of awe at you, like, okay, she's different. It's not about being loud, it's about being steady. And it's not about being bossy, it's about being clear. That's what true feminine power feels like. It doesn't beg, it doesn't put on a show, it speaks from a place of knowing. So stop waiting for the invitation, start becoming the invitation. Because when you stop trying to prove you're worthy of being chosen and start speaking like someone who already knows she is, everything changes. That's when the energy shifts. That's when you stop being ignored and start being remembered. And now we're diving into something that most women miss. Timing. The exact point where things usually go wrong, and how to make sure your confidence doesn't come across as pressure. Stay with me. It's about to get precise. Number 4, your energy speaks before your words ever do. Say the perfect thing with the wrong energy, and it falls flat before it even lands. That's a truth many people don't want to accept, because it's not just about what you say, it's about how your energy carries those words. You can say you and me 100 times, but if your eyes dart away, your voice shakes, or your body says, "I hope this works," then it won't. Energy doesn't lie, and long before a man understands your words, he picks up on your presence. Carl Jung once said, "The body expresses what the soul cannot say." So let's talk about your body, because your presence enters the room before your voice ever does. Picture this. 2 women say the exact same thing. You and me would make a dangerous team. But one says it with arms crossed, eyes down, voice uncertain. The other, calm, still, holding eye contact just long enough to be felt but not forced. A small smile that says, "I'm fine whether you respond or not." Same words, entirely different impact. You already know which one he'll remember. Calm confidence is magnetic. Why? Because it's rare. Because most people don't know how to just be, they only know how to perform. Your energy tells a man whether you're solid in yourself or reaching for something outside of you. And let's be honest, even when wrapped up pretty, desperation still smells like desperation. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You need to be present. Look him in the eyes, not like you're asking, but like you're meeting. Stand or sit with relaxed posture, like your body isn't asking for anything but is simply resting in its own worth. That stillness, that's your power. Let your presence fill the room, not your voice trying to cover it up. Because when you say something meaningful and then allow space afterward, that's when it really lands. Let's stop calling it confidence. Let's start calling it alignment. Your body and your words should speak the same language, because when they do, he won't just hear you, he'll feel you. Next, we'll step into exactly when to use the phrase. Because if you say it too soon, it creates pressure. Say it too late, and you miss the opening. But when you say it at just the right moment, you don't just speak to his mind, you spark his full attention. Stay with me. This is where it all lines up. Number 5, timing matters. Don't rush. A wise woman waits for the opening, not the applause. Let that sink in, because when it comes to deep connection, timing is everything. You could have the right words, the calmest energy, the strongest presence, but if you say you and me too early, it doesn't come across as genuine. It feels like a pitch. And nothing shuts down chemistry faster than feeling sold to. Say it too soon, he feels pressure. Say it too much, he stops feeling anything. This isn't only about what you say, it's when you say it. That sweet spot, when the vibe is light, the talk is easy and he's laughing, leaning in, opening up. That's your window. That's when you slide it in as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Not forced, not calculated, just dropped like a soft spark. Picture it. You're in the middle of a playful conversation. He's talking about his favorite taco place. You nod, smile, and say, "You and me should go check that out. See if it's really that good." Just like that, the tone changes. You've suggested something shared. You've painted a picture. But here's the trick. You didn't ask. You offered. And then you moved on. Attraction doesn't shout. It whispers. It's not a shove. It's a gentle pull. Most women try to grip a man's attention like holding sand. Tight, anxious, fearful. But a woman who trusts her power, she drops a seed and walks away. She lets it echo in his thoughts later, when he's alone, when his mind is quiet. That moment you created, it wasn't loud, but it stayed. That's the real power. So trust the pause. Trust the space. You don't have to hurry. You don't have to rush the flame. You just need to know where the spark belongs and when. And now we're about to explore why you and me goes deeper than logic. It's not just a phrase. It's a symbol, a key that unlocks something older, something deeper inside the male mind. Stay with me. We're stepping into memory, myth, and the unseen. Number 6, the unconscious doesn't think in words, it thinks in images. That's where the deep magic lives, because when you say you and me, you're not just saying a sentence, you're planting a symbol. And symbols, they skip past logic. They slip right into the heart, into memory. Carl Jung didn't just study the mind, he mapped the stories it carries. He understood the unconscious is always awake, always listening, always feeling. It doesn't care for clever lines. It responds to feeling, to pictures, to subtle emotion. So when you speak in suggestions, images, and emotional rhythm, you speak directly to the soul. You and me doesn't just talk about now, it hints at what could be. It's not a statement, it's a small scene. It says, here's a glimpse of us, not in some wild fantasy, but in a real way. Like two people eating tacos on a weekend, arguing about a playlist in the car. You're not seducing, you're reminding him of connection, of closeness, of partnership. Think of tossing a pebble into calm water. No splash, just ripples. Deep, soft, lasting. That's what a phrase like this does. It ripples. You plant it now, and tomorrow while he's driving or lying awake, he hears your voice again. You and me would make a dangerous team. And he smiles. He doesn't know why. He doesn't overthink it. He just feels it. That's not manipulation. That's meaning. And the beauty? You don't have to explain it. If he felt it, you'll never need to say it again. This kind of woman doesn't just make an impression. She becomes a memory. The kind that shows up in quiet moments without being called. So don't chase reactions. Don't search for quick approval. Speak like someone who knows her presence matters, especially when it lingers. Next, we go into the part almost no one talks about, the silence afterward. Because what you don't say might be the loudest thing he remembers. This next part, it's where your power breathes. Number 7, let the silence carry you. If you say the words and then wait for approval, you miss the point. Let that truth settle into you, because this next step, it separates the ones who hope from the ones who leave a mark. See, saying the right thing is just the start. What matters just as much is what you do after. Most women get this part wrong. They say the phrase, you and me, and then freeze, waiting for him to validate it, like a student waiting for a grade. You feel the tension, but not in a good way, because that moment, it says, I need you to approve what I just did. I need you to confirm this was okay. But the woman who understands her presence, she handles it differently. She says it, smiles, moves on. That's the power of the drop and go. You say it like it's natural, like it just came to you, then you let it be. Why? Because real feminine power isn't in chasing, it's in the stillness, the mystery, the quiet pull. You don't plant a seed and then yell at it to grow. You don't dig it up every hour to check. You let it rest. You let it work quietly in the dark. Same goes for your words. Say it once. Say it calmly. Say it with a quiet smile that says, I already know that landed. That kind of calm confidence, it's rare and it's deeply felt. It speaks volumes without sound. It says, I don't need your attention. I trust my impact. Because here's the truth. Silence draws him in. It gives him room to remember, to lean in, to feel the weight of your words in his own way. And when a man remembers you in his own space, that's when the connection becomes real. So trust the echo. Let it stretch. Don't explain. Don't repeat. Don't look for proof. Speak. Smile. Walk. Let the quiet do what noise never could. And now we're stepping into something even more solid. The part of him that builds, that dreams, that chooses.